10 years ago this day, the tri-state was on the mat. The November 6, 2005 tornado, the monster produced by a cocktail mix of 80-degree temperatures and a cold front, invaded our communities while many of us were sleeping. Some went to bed thinking it would be a night of thunderstorms and no more. It was not. Tonight, my special series, 10 Years, Then and Now. I meet with a fellow journalist who was there, doing his job, but ended up in a much different role.
I could hear somebody screaming for help.
Help is gone.
That's when I decided to come on in.
By the nature of his job, John Simpson had seen it all, but where he found himself on that morning, he had never seen.
I had no idea.
En route to Ellis Park, badly damaged by the tornado, John knew a tragic story was unfolding not far away, just to the northeast. The tornado pummeled the Eastbrook Mobile Home Park. John was on the interstate. He pulled over. He found only one way to get to the scene.
I hopped over the guardrail, walked through briars that were about this tall, and ended up here, and I could tell the scream was coming just from over there. It was dark as could be out here. You could kind of make out the homes that were right against the highway, but you couldn't see any damage.
He slowly made his way by foot throughout the bramble off the highway.
I remember the thickets were kind of chewing me up. They were hitting my legs. I was trying to use my feet to push them down and make a path. It was kind of brutal, really, getting through the thickets.
He finally arrived at the scene.
It was just too late to get out.
Upside down in chaos.
Can you wiggle your toe?
Only occasional lightning strikes provided split-second glances, like the one that in an instant captured the monster bearing down on Eastbrook. It's what John did not see that he will never forget.
I couldn't understand why there weren't first responders coming down to where we were, and now I know that they were overwhelmed.
But that night, pitch black, you made your way here. You didn't really see anything. John and I returned to Eastbrook just last month. Families still live here, but there is ample evidence many people never came back after the morning of November 6th.
We're trained to observe and not get involved, just shoot the action. And when I got down there, it was just amazing that nobody had really helped yet, and they really could.
This seemed to be the turning point right here, John.
When I rounded this corner, I saw a flattened home right over here. And I could hear Christy yelling from it.
What was she saying?
Just help me, help me, just over and over. Nobody could really get in there.
I don't know her. She's
Okay,
a neighbor to my
okay, so you're going to stay here with her?
Her name, Christy Nolan. She was needing immediate help, as did so many.
She was framed up perfectly in the double door, just laying right in the middle, screaming for help. There was a lot of people out here that were residents, but they were in their night clothes and really couldn't get up there.
We walked to one of the many concrete pads that remain empty, not far from the scene that was about to unfold in front of John and others. Nolan was trapped.
I resisted helping as long as I could. I don't have the training really to deal with these people. So I waited as long as I could, but nobody came down until we had one firefighter show up.
Awake? Yeah, she's awake.
John Simpson then made a decision. A journalist, a storyteller, became an emergency responder.
All right, ready for the door? We're going to bring it right.
That was one of the toughest things I ever did as a photographer. You're at the shoot of a lifetime, and you hand your camera off to someone else so you can help.
I need a man on the door.
I didn't know if I'd get the shot or not, but at that point it didn't really matter. Somebody needed to help them, and there wasn't anyone else there to do it. There was a camaraderie between all of us. We went into rescue mode, we went into work. I didn't know any of those people, but it all felt like we had been working together for a long time. we worked as a team to get people out.
Simpson and perfect strangers got to work, getting her to the emergency help she needed.
I know that's tough for you to watch.
5 years later, they were reunited, but the victim had old wounds in body and soul that needed closure.
I just thought, I can't have my family see me this way if I go.
When they came face to face.
And I had to hand the camera over. That was tough.
Mm-hmm.
But there just wasn't anybody out there to help at that time. It was tense because I knew she wasn't very happy with me at that time. We learned that she had never actually seen the video. She had just heard about it and was mad at the world, is what she told me.
Put her on the path. That'll be the best.
She was mad about everything, mad that she had been hurt. She suffered a lot of pain with her injuries. And when we sat down and watched it together, she started to understand.
John, exhausted by the time nightfall returned, slept well that night.
But I will tell you, for the next 2 weeks, every night I was back in this trailer park. Dreamed about it every night for 2 weeks.
"10 years, then and now, our look at what we learned in the darkness of November 6, 2005. A little boy, sound asleep. He was just 4 months old, unaware of the chaos around him. Somehow, he was spared by his crib and a brick wall that showed incredible mercy.
Going back 10 years ago, at that moment in time, I really didn't think this would ever be possible. For a moment, I didn't think he would be here.
Phil Dirkholz is a former WEHT photographer, watching his 10-year-old son Christian at soccer practice. A youngster focused on the ball. It is played out millions of times, but in this story, he is doing so as though the darkness of November 6, 2005 never existed. Here we have the crib, the brick, and this was on the upper level, right?
Right.
And this is his room from the outside with the wall gone.
Yep, when the wall fell onto the baby bed.
Phil and Don Dirkholz had tucked their 3 children in bed just hours before the monster hit their Newburgh home, point blank. Nolan was 6 years old, Ellie was 3, and then there was Christian, just 4 months on this earth. Nolan, you're the big brother. You had a lot on your shoulders. You were 6 years old. What do you remember about that night?
Well, I had a bedroom downstairs, and I kind of woke up to all these crashing noises, and Mom and Dad ran downstairs, and we had this little closet in my room, and it was like a separate little room, and I would draw on the walls and stuff, so we all stayed in there. And when we realized we forgot Christian upstairs and my dad ran up there, I was kind of thinking, this is my time to kind of be the man of the house. Comforting Mom wasn't hard, it just kind of came naturally, so that's kind of what was running through my mind, was I got to keep Mom calm.
I go, where's the baby? And that's when, gosh, I don't know how you describe that. Mayhem, I guess, ensues. Didn't know really even just what happened. But we knew that I had to get there. So I took off running up the stairs. And the stairs were full of patio furniture, bricks, windows, you name it, it was sucked down into that stairwell. As I was running down the hall, I remember looking up and realizing there is no roof. Get back into his room, and I look, and there's a brick wall that had fallen in and smashed his crib. There was no noise of any kind.
He lifted that wall literally with his shoulder, grabbing Christian. He was in one of those little sack sleepers, grabbing him out, and the next day, it took like 8 guys to move that wall.
Phil and Don and their family stayed put, building a new home in the same spot and returning there 6 months later. But this is not a story about brick and mortar. It's a love story. A story about cruel selection from a storm that took so many lives. The tornado appeared to step aside on its destructive path in Newburgh.
Oh, wait, are my glasses here? Here's the nightstand that they were on.
Although neighborhoods were devastated, there were no deaths. For Phil and Don, among the chaos, there was some comfort.
The house was blown apart. All of the pictures were gone off the wall, but every single crucifix was still in its place in the house, not moved.
And those kids. Christian cannot remember, of course, but Ellie and Nolan do. They have grown closer. The storm, in some ways, made them grow up so quickly.
It's important to me because not everyone has a family like I do, and my family is very special.
And as he's grown older, looking back on that, it's like, if I lost him, I don't know what I would have done.
He's a sweet boy. He can get on my nerves a little bit, but that's normal.
And he's changed my life in major ways.
This was actually a mural that was painted on the wall in Christian's room. And this frame was actually his headboard from the crib. We knew that had to be part of the decorations in his room.
I honestly don't think that any of that could have been possible without somebody watching over us.